All right, good evening, everyone. Wanted to give everyone a quick update on our chances of seeing severe weather this evening. I would say it's about 50-50. I know that sounds like a very cliche weatherman thing to say, but that's actually really what we're talking about. So I'll go into more detail about that in just a second. So just wanted to start out with the overall picture of the watches and warnings. And so the red box there at the top, you see that's a tornado watch till 8 p.m. And then you have a severe thunderstorm watch in the yellow until midnight. Now, there's really two main areas of storms that we're watching right now, and I'll switch over here to this. So we have these two areas of storms that we're watching, and we'll kind of zoom in a little bit. One is northwest of Dallas Fort Worth, and as you can probably get a pretty good idea, that's this area right here. And I think they're just about going to issue a tornado warning for one of those storms, I think. Just heard. Let's see if that pops up here in a minute. And then the other area of concern, which we already have a tornado watch, or excuse me, tornado warning, is southwest of Stephenville. So those storms are really starting to ramp up. Now, the one thing you'll notice if I take this off is this area right here is nice and clear. So right now, that bodes well for us because we don't see any storms in that area, and that's something that, if it holds true, then we'll escape this particular episode with not a lot of issues. However, we are not out of the woods yet. We may see storms pop in this area. Now, if we do, then large hail would be the main threat. So put this in motion. And again, you'll get an idea. I had a couple storms in that in-between spot, if you will. Tried to form earlier this afternoon, but they weakened. And one of the reasons they're doing that right now is because our capping inversion above the Metroplex and surrounding areas in North Texas is still holding pretty strong. Got a little bit of indication that it might be weakening some, but whether it holds or not, that's a whole another story that we'll have to watch for the next couple of hours. Because if it does hold, I don't think we're going to see anything in Dallas Fort Worth. Now, if it starts to weaken a little more than we think, and it is showing a slight weakening trend from earlier today, then that's when storms would pop in North Texas proper, and that's something we definitely have to watch. Maybe not a tornado threat, but definitely a hail threat if that were to happen. All right, so let's kind of zoom in here a little bit. So this is not Dallas Fort Worth if you're just joining us. So these are the storms. One's a tornadic storm, which is like it's lost some of its characteristics, if you will, but definitely hail producers, as you can see from the pink. So this is Comanche down northwest of Goldthwaite, in a general sense, southeast of Abilene. Not really heading our way in Dallas Fort Worth, which is good, but generally an east motion. Some of the storms are left splitters, as you can tell, and so those left splitters are going to move northeast, where the right splitters are going to move to the east, southeast, and so we're definitely seeing a lot of supercell splits this evening. Not uncommon in this environment. Now, if we move up to the northern half of the area, which there's that tornado warning that they issued, again, same thing, general motion east-northeast, but where you see these storm splits, you do see the storms make that right turn and want to go south of south of east, I should say. And so let's zoom in on this particular storm here. Now, again, this is not Dallas-Fort Worth proper. Definitely see a lot of hail here. Another storm that's forming just southwest of that. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing these storms form, back build, as we call that, to the southwest. Let's get the velocity on here. Yeah, nothing real, pretty broad rotation right here around Bellevue. And so, again, in moving in this general direction, I don't know that if you live north of Denton or have family that lives north of Denton, Gainesville, nothing to be too terribly concerned about, but it's just something you just want to keep an eye on. You might, if you have family that lives up that way, you just might want to tell them that, just something to keep an eye on. That's for sure. And let me do this here. All right, there we go. So definitely have these storms that want to rotate, especially northwest of Dallas-Fort Worth. So zoom back out. So again, nothing in the immediate Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Hopefully that will stay like that is. All right, so going to kind of give you an idea from a little bit more scientific standpoint what we can expect later on. So this is a composite NEXRAD radar that takes all the NEXRAD radars, in this case in Texas, and kind of puts it all together, and you can kind of see everything at once. And obviously you can't get quite as close as you can with the close-up radar, but you can definitely put it in motion and gives you an idea of what you're seeing. So you're seeing these supercell thunderstorms to the southwest of Dallas-Fort Worth, moving east, maybe a tad northeast, and then you see these cluster storms that are closer to the Red River. Now, what's going on there? Those have shown more tornadic characteristics than the one south, but of course we just had a tornado warning for the one south. So it's, any of these storms can be severe, and quite frankly, any of these storms can produce tornadoes, although the bigger risk is to the north, and that's where the tornado watch is. So if you want a quick science lesson, let's get, how can we tell that these storms are going to keep on going in North Texas? Are they going to die out? Are they going to get stronger? How can we tell that? So there's a couple of tools that we can use to help us out. And so we'll put some overlays on here. So we have a layer called mesoanalysis, and this is where we kind of can take the atmosphere, the data we get from balloons and satellites and things like that, and kind of gives us an idea of what we can expect. So if we look at CAPE, which is convective available potential energy, as a matter of fact, I want to take these county lines off so you can see it a little better. All right, so let's go back here. Okay, so this is CAPE, so hopefully you can see it, and I can't really zoom in on this. So you see this CAPE, 1750, 2000, anything over 2000, it gets pretty active as far as the available potential energy for convection. And then you see the 1750 line, it kind of scoots south of the Metroplex, and then you see a lot more CAPE south of the Metroplex. And then as you go into the Metroplex in Northeast, you don't see quite as much, and then in East Texas, you don't see anything at all. So that's why there's not really expecting a lot of severe weather east of us. So that's why we are a little concerned that if these storms get closer to Dallas-Fort Worth, they could hang on or they can weaken, and there's not as much CAPE to not enough available potential energy to feed on them. So that's good. All right, so now let's kind of go the opposite way. Let's look at the cap. We talk about the cap all the time. And, this is the SIN layer, or it's convective inhibition, or that's the fancy way of saying the cap. In other words, it's convection is inhibited from going upwards. So you definitely see a cap over North Texas, and you see not much of a cap, especially southwest of us, and you see a little bit thinner cap northwest of us. So that's that's why you see those storms northwest of us. Some of those storms are elevated above the cap, so that's why right now, pretty much surrounding North Texas, if hopefully you can see that, those diagonal lines, the cap is still holding decently strong. That's why we think if these storms do want to get a little closer to North Texas, they'll kind of be tamped down a little bit. So that's some potential good news. We see the supercell composite layer, and again, all that's telling you is that, hey, what's the chances of supercells? And again, you see this area northwest of us. This is a little bit earlier today. And of course, southwest of us, although the supercell composite layer doesn't show a whole lot down here, obviously that has changed. And then the other thing is we want to show the vorticity layer. And again, vorticity is just a fancy way of saying it's how the atmosphere is spinning. And again, you see this area that's northwest of Dallas-Fort Worth. That's why you had the tornado watch up there, because there was a lot of vorticity in the atmosphere. Not so much over Dallas-Fort Worth. And, of course, it kind of sinks down here into southwest central Texas. And I think that's, again, why I'm not shocked to see a tornado, at least a possible tornado southwest of us, because it's kind of right on the edge of that vorticity layer. No vorticity around North Texas. Now, it doesn't mean a tornado couldn't spin up, but it's just something it's good news in the sense that there's certainly not a lot of vorticity over Dallas-Fort Worth. So that's definitely something that helps us out. So just a little quick science lesson there. All right, so we'll go back to the radar here. All right, so let me check the comments real quick. Oh, you're welcome, Ashley. I like keeping everybody posted on the weather. You hear a lot of stuff on other sources, and, not that they're certainly not accurate, but, I try to focus on North Texas and specifically Dallas and Collin County, and Tarrant and Denton County too, but, just kind of give us an idea of what's going on. So really, as far as tonight goes, if you're just joining us, kind of did a quick science lesson on what we're expecting and why we might not expect too much in North Texas. But again, not something you want to let your guard down yet. There's no current watches or warnings for Dallas Fort Worth proper. That might change as we go into the evening. So let's look at some graphics here real quick, and we will get that. We'll see if we can't get that going. Okay, so just as a summary, this is the overall severe weather threat. If you saw my Facebook post this morning, you saw that most of the activity would be west of us so far. Cross your fingers. That is still the case. Now, what can we expect later on? So this is the graphics of what I talked about. The color scheme's a little different, but the yellow in this case is the tornado watch. Doesn't include Dallas-Fort Worth. The pink is the severe thunderstorm watch. Does not include Dallas-Fort Worth either. The tornado watch goes till 9 p.m. The severe thunderstorm watch goes till midnight. Now, depending on what these storms do west of us and southwest of it, well, quite frankly, northwest of us too, they may extend the severe thunderstorm watch past midnight or extend it to the east. They may even issue a new one. They're not really sure. They're still talking about that. So definitely something to keep in mind. And again, the overall severe weather threat we just looked at. As I mentioned earlier, tornado threat's really northwest of us, but there's the tornado threat for North Texas. It's not zero, so it's definitely something you want to keep in mind. The hail threat, the biggest hail threat's in the hatched area. Not so much in Dallas-Fort Worth, but again, we definitely have a chance for hail, so keep that in mind. Severe wind threat, 60 miles an hour or greater. Pretty much anywhere, if you're probably watching this, pretty much anywhere is going to be a threat for that. And if that's not enough for you, tomorrow we will have another chance for severe weather. Now, as you can tell from the graphic, most of it is expected to be south and southwest of Dallas-Fort Worth, with just a slight chance for us. Now, I wouldn't be shocked to see that change because this is spring, and it's something that we definitely want to watch out for. So just, again, something to be aware of for tomorrow, that we'll probably have to do this again, although thankfully so far tonight we haven't had to do a whole lot. All right, so I don't see any other additional comments, so I'll go back to the radar here before we wrap this up. All right, so we'll put this in motion, and do have a couple of tornado warnings I see that have popped up, so we'll go to those in just a second. But again, wanted to give you an overall view of the motion of the storms, and again, east, northeast for the most part. I'm going to go ahead and stop this. And so this is where we want to watch development in the next 30 minutes to an hour. If we see things popping here, then yeah, we'll have a busy night. If not, then we're going to be good. All right, so let's zoom in on this line here, see what's going on with these tornado warnings. Let's see. Radar indicated. Let's see what this one is. Okay, also radar indicated, so no confirmations. So that's better than having a confirmation. Let's look at the velocity. Yeah, I can see why they issued that. So definitely got broad rotation here, just southwest of Nocona. And then this one kind of outside, kind of getting on the edge of the radar. I would imagine it might be somewhere right here. So that's why they issued a tornado warning. So again, if you know anybody that lives up in that area, Munster, west of Gainesville, just give them a heads up, give them a text, just give them a heads up saying, hey, there's a possible tornado headed your way, and to just have them be aware of that. And again, you can kind of see in the motion, east-northeast location or movement, not anything headed. This is not headed toward Dallas-Fort Worth. But again, the thing we're going to have to watch is any development. Yeah, that'll make you dizzy. Any development right here. And I'm actually going to put this in motion one more time. And you see this development. Yeah, just matter of fact, that radar just updated. Oh, stop it. Nothing to be terribly concerned about, but you're starting to see some development here. And again, this is something we're going to have to watch if we see stuff. It's going to go that way, so it's going to be a couple hours away if it does do that. So nothing there yet, but it definitely could be. So, all right. So I don't see any more comments, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this particular update up. Bottom line, nothing to worry about at the moment. No watches, no warnings. Wouldn't be surprised to see a severe thunderstorm watch, either the one to the west of it extended or a new watch extended. Doesn't mean we're going to see the worst of the worst, but definitely something we're going to have to keep an eye on, probably till about midnight, and then hopefully it will be all over by then. All right, so don't see any other comments. So as always, I'm watching the weather, so you don't have to. Hope everyone has a great evening. Let's keep it all quiet, hopefully weather-wise. If it doesn't stay quiet, I will come back and talk to you about why it hasn't been quiet, but hopefully I won't have to do that. But if I do, I'll pop on and tell you what's going on. Thank you, Brenda. Appreciate your comment. And as always, thank everyone for watching, and we will talk to you soon.